Canelo Alvarez set to fight William Scull in Saudi Arabia. Turki, Al-Sheikh, he took to his social media and says the legend Saul Canelo Alvarez will fight William Scull in the undisputed fight in Riyadh on the 3rd of May. If he win, the fight in September will be undisputed again. And Canelo's in the comments talking about, let's go. Let's go. ESPN Knockout, they also posted it. Canelo versus William Scull. And that would be for a super middleweight fight. Now, this is pretty funny. Ego thoughts. I told you guys on my channel that boxing is full of inconsistent fans. This same fight, Canelo versus William Scull, when it was rumored for PBC, you had fans who said, why would Canelo fight Scull? Nobody wants to see him fight Scull. This is a terrible fight. But now that Turki has it, and he's uprooting Canelo from where he's made his coin in America, right? And taking him to Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. Now these same people will turncoat and act like this is an amazing fight and it's an amazing event, etc., etc. So funny. I told you from the beginning, to be honest, I don't know much about Scull. I've never seen him fight. I get it. He has the missing belt, so Canelo can become undisputed again. And then the plan is to fight Terrence Crawford in September if he comes through the Scull fight. And then the Crawford fight would be for undisputed. But to me, this is the problem with boxing. Boxing has a lot of politics. So if Crawford beats Canelo, this will be, again, the second, kind of the third time where he only has to fight one person and look good on a given night, and then he can set history for himself. So, yeah, it's setting history, but, I mean, you got to fight one guy, just like Errol Spence. Errol Spence did all the heavy lifting, had all the belts, and Crawford beat him on that one night, and boom, now he's 2x undisputed. Now, instead of the fight I want to see, which is Canelo versus David Benavidez, or when Benavidez was at 68, you could have fought him for undisputed before you lost the belt to William Scull, right? Before Benavidez moved to 175. Canelo refused to do it, didn't do it, and now we're getting a potential makeshift fight where you have truly a welterweight, because he doesn't have many fights at 154. He has one fight where he looked vulnerable. And Canelo, if he beats Scull, then he'll be undisputed. And then he's defending all of his belts against pretty much a welterweight who's a great fighter, but still has not proven anything in the higher weight classes above 160, with only one fight at 154. And you got fans who are like, this is amazing, and Turki is saving boxing. I'm glad that Sudase didn't get picked, because I think that would be wrong if Canelo took the fight that Jaime Munguia, his now stablemate, should be avenging. That was kind of stupid, Sudase. And I told you Jermall Charlo, the other name that ESPN threw out there. I mean, you just rug pulled Jake Paul and Al Heyman and PBC. Why would they feed you an inactive Jermall Charlo to make your event? So I didn't really believe any of it, but I said I wanted to wait until Canelo announces it. And although I didn't see it on Canelo's page, we seen it on Turki's page, and we know he's moving the pieces. And Canelo's like, let's go, brother. So that's a cosign to me. So it's looking like Canelo versus Skull in Saudi Arabia. Another fight nobody asked for to complete the gauntlet and give Canelo access to the belts, to then try to make a Terrence Crawford fight seem bigger. But to me, it's not that great. Now, you know what the funny thing is? The funny thing, and I love this aspect, because when this news broke, the Canelo Cinnabons and the Bud Buddies, they were like, yeah, terrific news. Ego, how do you feel? I feel great. Put Canelo in another fight that people don't really want to know with, like I've been saying, a nondescript opponent in William Scull, even though it's for a belt, right? Knowing who even watched William Scull's fight where he became a champion. I know you haven't. So the Canelo fans, a lot of them, the man fans, they don't even care who he fights. So they're like, yeah, it's a great fight. Have fun. Go out to Saudi Arabia, catch the 12-hour flight, and go witness this live if you like it. Amazing. For me, everything I said remains true. Canelo had an opportunity to fight a YouTuber turned boxer, yes, in Jake Paul. I'm here to tell you that the fight was going to be on Netflix, and it was going to be on, or in Vegas, I guess you could say, right? Despite whether you like the fight or the novelty fight, Canelo versus Jake Paul would have been a way bigger event than both Canelo Crawford and Canelo Skull. You guys are living in some past times. You guys are fossils. I told you, these belts, nobody even cares about stuff like that, especially the casual. The casual doesn't even know. They can't even identify all the sanctioning bodies. So it's been proven. So I love this move because this proves my point that I've been saying for years, and it does so effortlessly. I told you, people don't care about the belts. We watched Gervonta Davis and Ryan Garcia as the last boxing fight that hit over 1 million views, and there was no belt on the line because it was at a catchweight. Meanwhile, Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence fought months apart on the same platform the same year, and it didn't even do 1 million views. It did like 600,000 views or whatever they said it did, right? So now we got Canelo versus Skull, a guy nobody knows, for a belt in another country in Riyadh season, and people were mad at my takes, which I love. I like when you guys get mad because that means I can control you. I can control everything you do, whether you leave positive comments or, you know, I disagree comment. It don't matter. The pay is the same. And now I firmly believe what I was saying even more. You guys thought that Canelo changing and going a different route and pulling out of the Jake Paul fight, that somehow is going to make me look bad or whatever. Enjoy that. It only strengthened everything that I said. Canelo versus Jake Paul, whether you like Jake Paul or not, I don't care, is a bigger fight than Canelo Skull in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. Even if it's for all the belts, enjoy. So when Jake Paul is talking his talk and say, hey, Canelo, you da-da-da-da, you weaseled out the fight. You're money hungry. You're doing a disservice to your fans, your Mexican fans. He's right. Because now all the Mexicans that held Canelo down, he sold out for the money, and he's getting bagged up, which is good for his generational wealth, his family, his bank account, his pocketbook, etc. But now he just made his fight less accessible to most of the fans that have come out. I know because I've been to Canelo fights. I was at Canelo Golovkin, right? I covered that as credentialed media. So I seen the turnout in Vegas, because in Vegas, you have in Nevada, people who live there that are Mexican. You got LA, you got the Bay that has Latinos and Mexican, and you got Arizona, and it's right here. Let's see how many of those fans now go to Saudi Arabia that don't get paid to go to Saudi Arabia, but pay out of their own money to go watch Canelo versus Scull. Yeah, go watch Canelo versus Scull. So everything I said is true. Jake Paul versus Canelo absolutely is a bigger event, which would make more money on a bigger platform, Netflix, which is clearly bigger, right? Jake Paul did with Mike Tyson like something crazy, 75 million to 150 million. So you can live on your high horse like, oh man, Canelo fights real fighters, because that's what Canelo said in that video. He said, hey, this YouTuber, I fight real fights. Okay, so enjoy your real fight with a non-YouTuber that nobody cares about in Saudi Arabia. You know what I mean? And then I told you the whole schematics is weird. Crawford doesn't sound like he's taking a tune-up. He's just trying to get his body right and acclimated to a higher weight class. And they're trying to really sell you on this. And Canelo's getting a tune-up against a guy no one even wants to see him fight. And they think this is like big major moves. I told you, that's cool that the Saudis like were vying for Canelo's attention and they pulled it and, you know, sent him money he couldn't refuse or a deal he liked better or whatever and pulled him from the Jake Paul fight. Cool, you won the bidding war. But like I said in my past work, at what cost? Now you got to overpay this man, just like dazn was doing, for events that really don't move the needle and make the type of money to justify the pay. So it's like, what's the end goal? What's the game? Like, I'm being real as a true boxing fan, you know, because it's funny, you have the usual suspects and the resistance. They're going to say what I'm saying is wrong and say somehow, yeah, Canelo fighting a real fighter that they've never heard of, William Scull, that they've never watched, is somehow bigger than him fighting a YouTuber. Whether you like it or not, Canelo fighting the YouTuber would absolutely be a bigger fight that makes more money. We know this. Mayweather versus Conor McGregor was a similar crossover fight that some condemned and said it was a circus fight and it was freak show and weird and all that. And look how much money it made right there with the Manny Pacquiao fight, which was a real fighter. But we're living in different times, 2025, and you guys don't want to get with the times. You have people like Turkey's resurrecting Ring Magazine. I'm in America, the biggest of the biggest. No one reads magazines like that. Books, yes. Some people even do the audio book. We have bookstores in my area, in the Bay Area, that have closed. There's not even that many bookstores, right, that are open because of technology, iPads, iPhones. People aren't reading. Reading is down. And I'm not condemning read. If you're reading, that's an excellent tool for you. But what I'm saying is there's a reason that bookstores aren't cropping up everywhere and people aren't getting in the bookstore business per se. And if anything, they're closing and stores are closing. You know why? Because of online shopping and Amazon and, you know, these different programs and things that are out. So you guys can not keep up with the times. This is Netflix versus Blockbuster. Netflix came in trying to innovate and spread like a new way to watch movies, because when they first came out, Netflix was mail order DVDs, right? Before the streaming. If you're young, you may not remember that, but I do. Blockbuster laughed them out the meeting. Who wants to order a DVD to their house? But it clicked and it sold and people were doing it like, hey, this is more convenient than driving to the Blockbuster. So they did it. And then Netflix continued to innovate. And then they came out with streaming and they were ahead of the curve on that. And then now Blockbuster, there's only one left, I think, in Oregon or something, right? Same thing with boxing. You have people who are stuck in the past. They're looking at it like, man, the fight got to be for belts and undisputed and stuff like that. But then a guy like Jake Paul, a guy like Gervonta Davis, a guy like Ryan Garcia, whether they have a belt, whether their fights for a belt or not, people are like, F that. I like rocking with Tank. Tank's a knockout artist. Jake Paul, he's proving my point. Jake Paul is, in him dissing Canelo for abandoning the fight, which he absolutely did, right? Jake Paul is proving my point that him versus Canelo would have been a huge ordeal. Does anyone that is going to watch this video believe that William Scull, a guy that diehard boxing fans have never heard of, will be able to out-promote a fight with Canelo and outperform what Jake Paul would have been able to do? Because Jake Paul, in him losing the Canelo fight, he's highly entertaining and putting out these videos like, Canelo, take that cold sore off your lip, wop, wop, wop. You put out the fight, you duck at a YouTuber, and he's making it impactful. There's a reason Netflix got in the business with Jake Paul. Everything I'm saying is facts. I get it. Diehard boxing fans, they're not going to want to hear this because they're fossils. They're fossil food. They're fossil food. It is over. I'm telling you how the game works now. Whether you want to embrace it or not, Jake Paul would have been a bigger fight that made more financial sense to all parties involved, because you have a contingent of fans that like Jake Paul. Let's say kids and like Gen Z and people his age, right? Then you have a lot of people that like, man, shut this guy up. I want to see Jake Paul get knocked out. And they think Canelo is the man to do it. They think that Jake Paul has no chance versus a Canelo fight, or in a Canelo fight at any weight. So they would pay for it to see if Canelo does what Mike Tyson couldn't do and beats Jake Paul and knocks him out, period. And then it's so funny because you have Canelo fans, they're like, oh, my Canelo fights real fighters. Well, enjoy your real fight with William Scull in another country. Great. We'll see. We'll see how many people are like tapped in. And we'll also see what Jake Paul, what he does. He's going to have to find a new opponent now. And it's so funny because you have people who are on these high horses where they don't want to assimilate. They're just like, no, man, Canelo, I don't want to see him fight a YouTuber. Guess what? You guys are liars, because when these YouTubers be fighting, and if it's big enough, when Jake Paul fights a Mike Tyson, everybody's talking about it. So I thought you all don't want to watch. See, again, I know people are going to try to come for me in the comment section, but you can't, because everything I'm saying is true. If you guys actually kept it real and didn't want to see a YouTuber, then why did the Mike Tyson fight with the YouTuber Disney guy do so many views worldwide? Somebody wanted to see it, right? It did 100 million plus views, and Katie Taylor, Serrano 2 was like the most viewed fight. So if what you guys are saying is true and what I'm saying is false, then how did it do that type of viewership that nobody else can match? And you'd be like, oh, come on, Ego, it was free. First of all, it's not free. Netflix is not free. You cannot download Netflix app to your device or tablet and immediately start browsing and viewing. So that's not even a correct statement. Netflix is not free. Free is Instagram. All you have to do is sign up for Instagram. You can start posting and all that. Netflix, they keep raising the price. If anything, every month the bill keeps going up. So it's not a free platform. That's for starters. So it's not free TV and all this free apps. It's not. It wasn't on pay-per-view, but it's also not free. So I don't care what none of y'all talking about. Jake Paul, Canelo would have absolutely been a bigger fight. And in my estimation, it would have been a bigger fight than Terrence Crawford and Canelo. You know what I mean? Whether people want to admit it or not, Jake Paul gets eyes on him. People want to see him win. People want to see him lose. He plays the heel, and he does it well. Like I said, if you disagree with any of what I'm saying, then tell me how William Scull is going to outsell and outpromote Jake Paul. He doesn't even have the audience. I could go to his page right now. I don't even know if he has an Instagram. If they did a police lineup and they put William Scull in the police lineup, you guys would not even know how many people Like, no one would even be able to point him out. Bro, he got 11,000 followers, right? 11. This is who Canelo's fighting. Ricky Smiley or whoever this is, right? He got 11,000. On my second Instagram, because my first one got deleted, I got more followers than him, right? And that's not even my first page. Look, he confirming the fight. So, yeah, enjoy your Scull fight. I firmly believe everything I've stated in this video. I don't care if it's popular, unpopular. It's the truth. You guys live in denial. I live in the real world. Putting Canelo outside of the market that he's been in since age 19, America, taking him to Riyadh. Like, I get it for Riyadh. They putting up the money, so they want Canelo over there. You know, they're trying to lure people to Saudi or, you know, change the notion of the kingdom or whatnot. So for them, it makes sense. Yeah, you fighting over here. That's why 3 of his 4 fights, maybe even the Crawford fight, I don't know, but at least 3 of the 4 are in Saudi Arabia. So yes, they pulled Canelo from the Jake Paul fight successfully, but at what cost? That's what I've said from the beginning. Jake Paul said it. He's like, you're doing a disservice to your fans. Now, all the Mexican fans that have been supporting you, let's see how many, like, remember when Canelo would fight in Vegas and then you have Mexicans with the red headbands that say Canelo Alvarez? Canelo sold out for the cash. Let's see how many Mexicans fly out to, you love Canelo so much and he's the face of boxing, right? Fly out to Saudi Arabia for a William Scull fight. Please do it and show me your ticket. Show me that you purchased a ticket to Saudi Arabia to watch William Scull, even if it's in preparation for a Crawford fight. To me, I've already expressed why the Crawford fight doesn't tickle my fancy. Pause. I've already explained it to you. Crawford not doing the tune-up. Crawford has never fought higher than 54. And, like, here's the other thing. Terrence Crawford looked bulked out. He looked like crazy shape at 154, and that was a career high weight, right? Now he got to go up 14 more pounds. 14 more pounds when he looked like he was in great shape at 154. So now how you going to pack on 14 more pounds of muscle and naturally maintain all of the attributes that you had at 35, 40, 47, and even 54? Sharpness, cunning, speed, you know, agility, footwork. And you're doing it without acclimating properly. You're not like taking tune-ups and like, hey, give me a fight here, here, here. So this whole thing, yes, the Saudis won the bidding war, but it's also bunk. I would have preferred, again, I'm on record, and please print this. The only fight I really care to see Canelo truly fight, it's not even Jake Paul. It's David Benavidez. That is the fight he needs to fight. I've always said that. However, since Canelo refuses, he has to fight somebody else because he doesn't want to fight Benavidez. So in lieu of that, then at least give me a novelty fight that's going to be entertaining and be big for boxing and be on Netflix, promoted by PBC, and Jake Paul's going to do his part. You're going to make a lot of money. Jake Paul's going to make a lot of money, and it's just a spectacle. So I would take that over William Scull or Surase and all this other stuff in Saudi Arabia. But Canelo made his bed. Enjoy it. I'm reporting the news. He's fighting Scull. They're making it out like this is amazing. This plan for Canelo, they're overpaying him, and they will see Canelo, you're wasting your money basically, because he's not fighting Charlo, right? And at least Charlo has name cachet. Bruno Sudase, at least people seen him. I didn't like the fight personally because I think Munguia need to fight him, but at least he's coming off a big win. No one even knows William Scull like that in boxing. And you guys are on your high horse like, Canelo fights real fighters. Canelo doesn't fight YouTubers. And then Jake Paul put up the contract showing that in the flyers, showing that Canelo was at least entertaining a fight with the YouTuber. So that's cap. and he just chose something else in the 11th hour. So this calendar sucks. You guys can say Turkey saved boxing and all that. To me, this does not look. Hamza Shiraz, Chris Eubank. I'm not even going to include Dimitri Bivol because he's about to fight in a couple weeks with a rock hard puncher, Artur Beterbiev. I made a video about the man fist is bricked up. He got the brick hand. So I don't even know what's happening with him. Even Hamza Shiraz on that card and Chris Eubank. This whole thing is mapping out a year of fights, and all three of those people have fights coming up, and they're dangerous fights. Conor Benn is fighting Chris Eubank. Hamza Shiraz, Carlos Adames. Dimitri Bivol is fighting Beterbiev. So Canelo's going to be stranded in Saudi Arabia with lackluster fights, but he's getting paid, and I'm supposed to be like hyped for it. That's great for Canelo's bank account, not great for the fans. Like I said, Jake Paul and Canelo would have been a bigger event, and albeit novelty, it still would have represented a lot of success in America, where I'm from. Why would me as an American, why would I not want to see big boxing in the States? You got Canelo fans that are Chicanos. They from LA or somewhere. They're from wherever, Texas. And they want to see Canelo fight in another country that they're not going to go out to support. It's so funny. And they're like, yeah, get him, Canelo, Canelo, Canelo. So the Cinnabons, you got your wish. Canelo's fighting a real fighter, and his name is William Scull. So please fly out to Saudi and enjoy.